Hey there, it's Kristen for paganpages.org, and this month's Planner Magic project is a magical monthly layout. So if you have your planner, then you know that in every planner there is a monthly layout. I'm just going to take you forward so you can see a blank one. They usually look something like this. You can see how large the squares are, and I think that this is a good size. So whether you have a planner like this or you just have a monthly calendar, this one is the classic size happy planner. Pretty much though, you're going to find something that is roughly this size, and I think this is a good size to use. So what we're going to be creating is a magical monthly layout. And it's magical because your entire layout is a reading. It is an oracle card reading. So you're doing a reading for your entire month, and it's going to be right here in your planner, so you can refer to it whenever you need to. You can look at it on a day-to-day basis, and just look at the messages and see how the messages coincide with what's actually happening for that day and how the month is unfolding. So this is mine that I made for March, and I wanted to just take you through some of my supplies, but I really want to emphasize that you can create this any way that you want. Essentially, it is a reading with cards. I'm going to give you some tips for selecting a card deck, but in terms of the visual, how you want this layout to look, what colors you choose. You can see I'm using stickers here. That is completely up to you. If you draw, you might want to draw this. If you do some wonderful hand lettering, you may want to do that hand lettering in these spaces. I am using just some brush pens, and usually I just pick like a color palette, maybe 5 or 6 colors. And I am using just a black pen. It's similar to a micron pen, so it doesn't smear and it doesn't bleed. So that works really well for writing over top of the brush pens. But as I said, you can use whatever you like to decorate your page. And then, of course, I'm using stickers because I just love stickers. And I just use whatever sticker books I have on hand. But again, if you want to draw this, you can also draw it. Whatever way is your normal, I would say, whatever feels most resonant for you, and whatever is kind of the natural way that you would interact with your planner pages. Now, essentially what we're doing, just to kind of explain this really quickly, you're doing a reading for the entire month, which means you're going to find an oracle deck that you want to use, and you're going to shuffle up that deck with the intention of choosing messages for the entire month. And then once you shuffle up the cards, you're going to pick all 31 cards. This month had 31 days, so I picked out 31 cards. And then you just start going through each card one by one. So the first card that you chose is going to be day 1. The second card that came out is going to be day 2. The third card is day 3, and so on until you get through all of the days in the month. And then for each card and for each day, you're just going to create some sort of message in that square. So you could just write the words if you wanted to of that message of the card, or you could just do a drawing. I like to do a little bit of both, so I write the message and then I find a sticker that for me kind of best resonates with that message. And it doesn't, it's just for you. So whatever works for you, just think about what matches up for you symbolically. And this is a great way to really start observing your symbols as well. And so once you have this for the month, and I usually do this before the month starts. So I usually do this maybe the week before, a few days before the month actually starts. So you have really a whole reading for the month ahead. You might want to take a look at it and see if there are patterns that you notice that emerge, or if there are different connections to different days. So for example, with this one, I got connect with the earth on the day that spring begins. So I don't know, I think that's a really neat connection. So you may find that certain messages come up and they resonate, or they react, or they're reflecting certain specific days. Now, since this is basically a month ahead reading, you may not know what all those messages mean. So each day you can come back to your planner page and just look and see, what does that message tell you? Now, let's talk about the decks that you want to look at for doing this reading. I have used for this one the Sacred Self-Care Rituals deck. I got this originally through Goddess Provisions, but it is now available, an update is available through Amazon, so I'll make sure to link it. Now this one is giving you self-care rituals. So each day I have a self-care ritual. And I think about them very loosely. I don't necessarily have to do the ritual, but I think about, what does the ritual mean in terms of my life, and how would I reflect, how would my life be reflecting some of these rituals? So I don't necessarily think of them literally like I have to do it, but it is a great reminder. And I really love this deck. There's just really, really pretty cards in it. I'll show you some of the cards. And just the self-care rituals are really helpful. I think they kind of cover a lot of different areas. And so I like to use this particular deck for this magical monthly layout. But let me show you some other ideas for decks. Now, I do not recommend tarot. And the reason for that is, with tarot, there's a translation that needs to happen. What you want your magical monthly layout page to look like is to be like a quick message that you can just go right to and look, okay, so on the 16th, I need to focus on grounding visualization. So when you use tarot, you have to kind of translate that card, because there is no oracular message or keyword. So I would suggest using oracle cards that have a short, like either one word or a short phrase that is a keyword, and like with this deck, but also decks that are guidance decks. And what I mean by a guidance deck is one that where each of the messages is an action. So for instance, this is from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck. And you see they're just very short phrases. Ask for help. Listen. Tell the truth. And what you can do, what I've done in some of these instances is kind of look at the color scheme, like what color jumps out at you. Like for me, maybe it's blue. So I might use my blue brush pen and fill that in, that area in blue. So as you fill in each square for the month, again, it's about whatever symbols you feel. And color is a really great symbol. So these are short enough that they will be able to be messages that you can fit into the box. And I like the colors too, because like I said, you might want to find your pens, brush pens, whatever you want to use for creating color in your space, and match it up with the deck and the colors that you see in that deck. So this one is Crazy Sexy Love Notes. Another deck that I like to use is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards, and they have two different phrases. So one is describing the character in the card, and the other one is usually an action phrase. This one says unlock the magic within. This one says choose your path. So when I use this for the purpose of making my magical monthly layout, I don't write the whole thing in. I'll just write whatever that action phrase is. Choose your path. Make plans and focus. Stay rooted and grounded. Trust in higher forces. Harness mystic power. See from a higher perspective. So you can see that each of these decks has a different vibe. It has different energy. So think about what you want to bring into your month. You know, that's going to help you figure out what kind of deck you want. What kind of messages are you looking for? Are you looking for self-care messages? Are you looking for general guidance? Are you looking for more magical guidance, you know, kind of a deeper level? So that should help you determine what deck. And so think about it from that perspective. There's also another deck that I think might work well. This one is the Wild Unknown Archetypes Oracle cards. And let me just show you some of the cards. Now, this I think would work well if you already understand archetypes. Each card is an archetype. The village, the forest, the father. And so you could write each archetype into the square that it falls in, the pilgrim, the mask, and then, you know, again, draw or find stickers or something else that might represent that archetype. And sometimes what I do is I just draw a line or a square or a triangle or, you know, just something that, instead of stickers, something that for me just kind of comes out spontaneously that represents whatever the symbol is, the underworld, the hunter. Like for this one, I might draw like an arrow, kind of like a bow and arrow. So really play with this, and this archetype is the warrior. So if you're already kind of have an understanding of archetypes, I think this would be a great deck to use for 1 month, and then see how those archetypes play out in your daily life. And then I had one more idea. I'm trying to just come up with different things for you to consider, because you don't necessarily have to use the same deck every single month. That could get a little bit boring. So you might want to get some different decks and just kind of use some different things. If you're really into yoga, you could pick a yoga pose for every day and do that yoga pose as really a meditative way to reflect. And I believe that, you know, all of the yoga poses are giving you kind of like a somatic message as well, a message from the body. And when you're in that pose, it will give you a sense of what that message is. So this deck, if you look on the back, it tells you what the pose is, and it gives you some of the benefits of it. This is the standing forward bend. So if you pick this particular card for whatever day and you do this pose, to me this pose is about kind of surrendering because you're bending over. It could also be about flexibility. So I'll just show you some of these cards, but this could be one where you just write in the yoga pose each day, and then you have a month of poses that you can use as a kind of meditation. Okay, so this one is called Do Yoga Anywhere. And I'll have links for all of these for you. I believe they can all be found on Amazon. So that just gives you some ideas in terms of decks. But, you know, pick a deck that, you know, if you already have some decks, you don't have to go out and get any. Just use what you have. but just remember the spaces are kind of small, so you want something with a short phrase or just a keyword and something that you can ponder or that will give you a message for each day. And then you'll see I just kind of like to fill up the page, so I just add more stickers here. You can put stickers at the top, and so the whole page will be filled up as well. And then again, just on a day-to-day basis, you can just come and just reflect on what's going on for that day. Sometimes at the end of the day, I like to look back and see what message was there and see how it related to my day. So I have a little bit of a process video just to show you how I set up this particular magical monthly layout, and I really hope you enjoy this project.